Dr. Laura Foster here. We are now streaming live to Facebook. I'm so excited. Every couple of weeks, I do this very organic meet and greet where I bring one of, so far, somebody who is very near and dear to me. Today I have Dr. Stacey Farquhar with me. And I wanted her to come on here because when I think about sharing wisdom from the feminine perspective, I think really about some of my closest friends who I know we have next level conversations all the time. We're really just willing to go there. And today I wanted to talk about this concept of surrendering because I don't want to misrepresent her. She can be a spaz, totally. But I think that there is this deep rooting that she has within her. And there's a way that she dialogues it that I just think is worth sharing for one. First of all, Dr. Stacey, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Hi. Really happy to be here. Happy to chat with you, especially since you've moved away so far, and the opportunity I have to have a fun conversation with the wonderful Dr. Laura.
It's the mutual admiration show. So Stacey, first of all, why don't you just tell us a little bit about you, because I think that you can kind of encompass a lot of what you have going on that makes you in this place to speak about it.
Okay, sure. Okay, what can I tell you about me? I am 46 years old, so I have 46 years of some wonderful human life experience figuring out this thing called life. I am the mother of two fabulous kids who test me in wonderful ways every day. I'm married. I have a practice. I'm a chiropractor. I've been practicing for close to 20 years, and I love that also. So that's a big part of my life. And I practice my loves and hobbies would be fabulous time with friends and family. I love good wine. I love good food. I love interacting. I love laughter. I love yoga. And I also just love growing and expanding and learning from people who inspire me. So I love to engage in activities that help me be a better version of myself so that I can in turn inspire others to do the same things in their lives.
Yeah. So if anyone who knows me would see very clearly why you and I are friends. You just pretty much named off everything. If you went to my Soul Inspired Girl website and you went about, you'd see all those things listed. So, we share this love of, asking questions that, I've always found that not everybody's asking. It has really connected me to some weird and wonderful ways and incredible people. And so, 2020 has been a bit of a test. This is not news to anybody. And you and I got in a discussion, or several times we've gotten a discussion, even just on FaceTime, me being in Kelowna, you being in Toronto, with this idea of what do you do with all the challenging information that comes our way? And I know you're a follower of Abraham Hicks, but also, you have this sense of the concept around surrendering. So I just love to ask you right off the bat, not what is the definition of surrendering, but what is your definition of surrendering? What do you believe surrendering is?
Sure. I've thought about this a lot. And I suppose my definition of surrendering would be something along the lines of holding to the utmost importance, managing my state as being one of the most important things I can do, especially in the face of adversity, but really at any juncture in every day of my life. In other words, there's so much that we don't have control over. I think that humans get so focused in the wrong ways in controlling things. And I think that leads us down the wrong path. And my intention in my life is to keep myself vibrating in a place of receptivity, in a place that allows me to be open to new ways of thinking, to being open to new suggestions, new opportunities, new experiences, especially when we're faced with information that's just basically daunting and overwhelming. And I face that on a regular basis, like we all do, especially here. So, and there've been many moments where I've just had to sort of put it all down and say, okay, this is really setting me off track. I'm having a hard time managing my vibration. And so I need to just bring it back. How do I keep myself in that place where I know all possibilities are there, and that sort of deep knowing that there is opportunity for healing. There is opportunity for growth for the whole planet. There is an opportunity out there for all of us to move forward, even when we can't see the solution, if we can keep ourselves in a place that allows the possibility of the solution. And then that's when the miracles show up, right? The people show up, experiences, the podcast, the person, the book, the whatever, you know, and we say, wow, that's great. That's just what I needed. And then setting up, I think, obviously activities of daily living that keep you in that place, right? So you don't get derailed so easy. Mm-hmm.
Well, and to be clear, I mean, we're human, right? So we're these spiritual beings having a human experience. And so we have to find a place where we can accept this humanness of ourselves. And so it's not to say that you live in a la la land. So when I originally heard about surrendering, whenever that was, surrendering and accepting too, and I have, you know, what question I'm going to ask you about that, is this idea of surrendering. Is that the same thing as saying whatever happens, happens? Is that?
I think there are different perspectives on that. I suppose here's what I would say. Let me also talk about what I don't think surrendering is. And maybe that's a question. You know, because I'm a passionate person and I have very strong convictions and a strong belief system and a strong value system that I use to guide my life. So for me, surrendering is not being a limp fish, you know, or, you know, just allowing someone else's perspective to wash over mine, or just to have complacency around an issue that I don't agree with. So those things, to be very clear, are not what surrendering is to me. I think surrendering is what happens when you see the discord or the dichotomy of what's going on around you, and you recognize that which you don't stand for and that which you do. Mm-hmm. And you choose to surrender to the fact that that stuff over there exists. And so, no level of regular consternation or frustration or anger or fear is going to make that not exist. But I stand for this over here. And so I'm going to surrender to that part of the fact that there's two halves. And I'm going to then focus on being the change, seeing the change, creating the change, and focusing on solutions. In a direction of positivity, like as best as we can, you know. And I guess another way to word that would be, like creating change or creating solutions with the same level of thinking that created the problem in the first place just is never the answer.
Right.
And, And so accepting, how is it different from accepting? I mean, acceptance is an interesting word, and so is the word allowance. You know, I actually would prefer to use the word allowance. Like, I do believe on some level, and I get hung up on this, but I just think that if we all allowed people to live their experience in life, and we focused on the way that we want to live, that we would all be on better pages, you know, on better planes and better paths. And I also true. And I also think that we're not as different as we think we are. Like, we get caught up in the words of it all, but, you know, this is why I've always loved third world travel, because there's this perception when you live in Toronto, Canada, anywhere, that we're such a developed nation, that we got it all figured out, that we, you know, whatever. And then you go to these other countries and they have so much less materialism, but yet they are having what seems to be a higher vibrational human experience in many ways. And so what I always come away with is really reflecting on, my gosh, we're so similar. Those people have kids, they love their kids, they want better for their kids, they want a sense of community, they want to join hands and link hands with other people. That, you know what I mean? Like, it's like we have all these different clothes and these different filters through which we look at life, but we're really a lot more similar than we are different. This idea of surrendering, though, I mean, over time, tell me where that really became solidified, because I know you've had a few challenges, or shall I say you've had a few opportunities to work with surrendering. How about both? Yes, I still do every day. I mean, every day. Well, I suppose I had a pretty obvious experience a few years ago. In 2016, I had an injury, and I was rushing, and I fell down my stairs, and I broke several bones in my wrist and arm, and that was a big deal. And but I will not, without belaboring that, I will share that even in the moment of that injury, which was excruciating, but even in that moment, I never felt like, I just was aware. I immediately had this sense of like, oh, I guess I needed that. There was a reason for that experience. And never like, woe is me. What did I do to create this? How come I'm
Yeah.
stuck in the boat? It was just a process of like, okay, so I guess I'm going to learn and grow from this and figure that out as I go. And so it really did force me to physically be slowed down,
Yeah.
obviously. And for anyone who knows me, and you know me well, I don't really go do things very slowly. I generally am like A to B walking, talking quickly.
Oh, dear Lord. She walks so fast.
Other than packing up from a hotel room to leave quickly, I don't do that very quickly. But Laura knows that. And then again, this process forced me to slow down and really reflect and be in the moment. And I'll show you, actually, I was going to talk about this later. I may as well bring it up now. I read this book. It's called The Untethered Soul. It's by Michael Singer. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, me too.
And it was just a fantastic read, which is exactly what I needed in that moment in my life. And I've kept it because it's something I will revisit throughout my days. And it's all about this, the art of surrendering to what is. I mean, no amount of me resisting that experience was going to not make that experience be what it was, because it happened. And that is the case with all of this. So how do we get into a place where we can accept what is and just get out of denial?
Yeah.
And then move into a place of healing, really. And that's where all healing, as you know, my work, and you can't be in denial. You can't be in a resistant state and in a denial state and expect there to be expansion, growth, and healing, right? It has to come from a place of acceptance and allowing, and then from that place, you can choose where it is you wish to move forward to.
And I think this really hinges on this idea that, I especially see it around me this year, which is not all of us have a strong sense of self, right? Like maybe we've been taught or brought up in such a way, or we've had life circumstances occur, whereas we're often looking outside of ourselves for the answers. And in the process of what's been happening in the last few months, I've really noticed people having to go inwards, but feeling dark about that. Instead of like shifting that to a place of, this is an opportunity for me to really see who I am, to ask myself some of those freaking brilliant questions, to be curious about it, and to start to cultivate this sense of self in such a way that your self-identity starts to increase, your self-esteem. You will start to realize that you have your own back when you actually pause long enough to check in with how you're feeling in the first place. And,
It's true.
And you said it because you just kind of flew past this point. But what I've really realized in working with clients is that unless you take the time to really ask and be curious about what your values are, right? We just assume we know what our values are. And I go back to this time and time again because I was married to a great guy who you know for 17 years. And we had issues in our marriage, like many people do, like humans. And what would happen is we would just keep trying to come at things the same way. We both want to be happy. We both want to be together. We both want to love our kids. Like we just kept going at it and going at it and going at it. What I eventually realized is, holy cow, like we have incredibly different values. Like what I value is not the same as what he values. Nothing wrong with what he values. It's just so different than what I value. So when I try and create a life of happiness, it like has a whole different fence and house and feel to it than what he was going at. Not wrong, just different. And so this is when I was already aware of values, because when I worked on solidifying my business, my clinic, and that's a question you often get asked with business coaches is, what does your office stand for? What is your why? What are your values? How often do we ask ourselves those same bloody questions? What's your why? What are your values? What do you stand for? I bet you there are a lot of people sitting in their chair or whatever going, I sure know what I stand for a lot more than I knew 6 months ago. And that process of uncovering that is itchy and uncomfortable. I'm sure when you took that flying tumble down the stairs, and I know you didn't belabor it, but I just want to tell everybody, oh my God, it wasn't just she broke her arm and got up and away she went. It was one catastrophe after another, like deep soul searching. It was a lot, Stacey. Like, thank you for just being like, I broke my arm. No, you didn't just break your arm. It was one catastrophe after another. And I could see you were just like uncovering another level and uncovering another level.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the ability for us to inhale is quite easy. What I find people have a hard time doing is exhaling. It's the exhaling is surrendering.
Yes, it is. You're absolutely right. And bringing it to the breath. I mean, as basic fundamental examples like that, it's really the truth though. Like, and like you mentioned, I think more and more people are doing this sort of thing on inadvertently with all of the information is that they're bombarded with day to day, and the constant overthinking and the constant this from this angle, that angle, and your family and your friends and your work and blah blah blah, and so that's what happens is we find ourselves needing to unplug and needing to just be. And I think that that's a wonderful thing. And so let's pay attention to that. And like you mentioned, I think all the answers come with us. They come with us when we're born. You know, the answers are our soul contracts, I think, are already signed and come with us. And so it's really a matter, and it's kind of the same advice I give women heading into labor for the first time. It's the art of letting go, you know?
Oh, isn't it?
Yes. It's the art of surrendering. This kid's coming out. I tell you, this baby's going to come out. So you are either going to fight that experience, or you are going to surrender to the experience and be in the moment and allow your body to guide you and give you the cues that you need to help you, expedite that experience.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. It's like the people, I find the people I look up to and in this world and find myself drawn to just have this eloquent ability to keep themselves calm and intelligent in the face of adversity, which is not an easy thing. And I certainly would say that hasn't always been the case for me, and I'm working on it. But I do admire that. And, those are the people that are really going to help heal this planet. Who can stay and in their place of knowing, in their place of deep, and within their values, true to their core, and share their truth in a way that is like a bright flame, that people just want to follow along with. So, and managing your state through all the choices you make in relationship to the things you say yes to versus what you say no to on a day-to-day basis. I know you talk about that a lot, and I fully support that. Is so important. And it is something that we learn as we get older. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
That we take on way too much, especially women, earlier on, and we're like, yes, I can do all of that. I'm going to do it all. And then we fall apart, right?
Yes. Our life informs us of how it's working out for us. And we resist it, and we resist it, and we resist it, or at least I have and occasionally still do. And then again, I find these times and spaces in my life where I build in noticing so that I'm checking in, and then I can recognize it. But what would you say is, the obvious side, or the things that we can surmise, but what do you feel is the benefit of surrendering? Like, just really straight up, what's the benefit?
Straight up, you're happier. I feel like you end up being more at peace, just more relaxed, more patient. You have greater ability to take on more if that's what you want, but just the things you have taken on have more resiliency to manage them effectively, more creativity, more appreciation. Is that what you're about to say? Like, appreciation for what you have and where you are. Maybe just like greater state of wonder. When you look at little kids and they're just like in a state of just whatever it is, they're in the middle of something, whether that's a mud patty or whatever they're doing, and they're just in this wonder of like how fun they are in the moment. More of that. And I use laughter as a barometer to the success of my life. Like, how often are we laughing? Like, we're truly laughing, and And there are some days that I'm not laughing as much as I'd like to be laughing. But I'll tell you, there are other days when I'm laughing a lot. And, you know, if we all could use those types of barometers to gauge our success as opposed to sort of the external barometers, I think that life would be better for everybody, right?
And also where I want to go with this is just that really to bring home the idea that as we are in this state, we do literally vibrate higher. Mm-hmm. And that there is a vibration for healing. There is a vibration for connection. There is a vibration for love. And it is literally measured in, you know, hertz. And there is a vibration for dis-ease and disease and disconnection and anxiety and depression. And so you can look it up. I'm pretty sure the Googles will give you that information. But the idea of vibration is big, and we know what vibration feels like within ourselves. And so this idea of playing with presence and playing with surrendering and playing with the idea of allowing, maybe even versus acceptance or whatever that is, it doesn't mean that you are, to be very, very clear, it doesn't mean you're complacent. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're not actively working towards a solution. It means you're prioritizing putting yourself in a vibration where you're more effective. There's more of you to share in the right way. You have more clarity, and your rudder, your rudder is so firmly rooted beneath you that you are effective. Because if you can do all those things, like if you feel like you're going out in the world to create change, but you don't have any foundation to sit upon for yourself, it's a short game. You're not going to make it.
No, it's true. There's just too much to get sucked up by, in the boating analogy, you know, really, truly. I think that's all beautifully worded, and it is about clarity. You know, it allows you to be more focused, laser focused, and have the intensity and the energy to choose what it is you're putting your energy into, right? Yeah. And also, to be clear, you have the ability to disagree with and or dialogue with or debate with someone who doesn't share your perspective or opinion. I just think it gives you a better perspective within which to have that conversation, and an ability to manage yourself effectively, so you're more convincing, if that's what you're trying to be, really.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. A lot of times, especially with Reclaim Your Voice, people are like, I want to speak my truth, but then I get into this place where I have to defend myself, and then I need, you know, double-blind clinical randomized trials. I'm like, no, you don't need to go there. Like it's really when we get to this place where the resistance is where the pain is. That's what I've really noticed. It's when I can't sleep at night, it's not about the decisions I've made. It's about the decisions I haven't made. It's about the conversations I haven't had. It's all of that stuff. So it's like when you feel yourself in that awful place, and we can feel it within our being, that's the question to ask is, what am I resisting? Yeah. What am I pushing back against? What's going on in my life to inform me, not to victimize me, not to punish me, but to inform me? And how can you gather the incredible tidbits of what's happening to say, what's in this for me? Not what's in this for me, but what can I glean from this? What is of value to me? To me, even recognizing that, like knowing when I'm in a state of resistance, I know what resistance feels like in my body. I know what pushback feels like. I can tell it's very, very draining. And when I feel that, that's a good time for me. And sometimes I miss it, and I'll sit in this state of resistance for days, hopefully not weeks. But then eventually I remember, okay. And that's when I start getting into the habits that bring me back. So what are some of the strategies that you use to help you stay more in a state of surrender?
So good question, because, and just to touch on a couple things you mentioned there, so that the listeners recognize this. Like you said, we are all learning, and this is a process for everybody. And I've used the word refractory period, and I've heard you use it before too, Laura. When we're making changes in our lives, that we all have a refractory period, you know, when stuff goes south. It's like, how long does it take for us to sort of reel it back in? And obviously, with more practice, that refractory period is less and less. And sometimes the information that's being given to us in the world is so significant that it's larger than you're used to, but that's all part of the dance. So I think the thing is that you set up a life with action steps set in place such that you do it helps you the best that it can with whatever you're faced with, right? So for me, in my life, it's a clear understanding that I need time being with my soul. So not thinking, not being busy, not doing, but just being. And so I use meditation regularly as a way to get out of my head, in a way to get into my heart and into my soul. So I find it very helpful, very effective, and I really don't need to do it for very long. So I know some people, or maybe I just haven't allowed myself the opportunity to spend hours per day meditating. I really haven't. So I'm sharing for those maybe that haven't ever really meditated, that you can set aside 15 minutes a day, 15, 20, 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day, and benefit so greatly from that time. There are guided meditations available. Yeah. I love Deepak Chopra.
Me too.
I can hear that man talk for forever. As far as I'm concerned, I was going to try to imitate him, but I can't do it, so I won't do it.
Maybe don't.
But the point is, he's fantastic. So why reinvent that wheel? I just think he's a wealth of wisdom, and I love listening to his meditation. So I love his meditations. So that's what I often go to.
Yeah.
So I purchased a bunch of the various 21-day meditations that he and Oprah.
He and Oprah do. They're great.
They're so good. So there's that, and then quietly, I practice yoga. As you know, I'm a yogi and I have been for many, many years, and that's my jam. It just keeps me centered. It's a combination of movement. So there's a physical release, there's a spiritual component, there's strengthening and stretching, and tie that all into one. Mm-hmm. And that's what works for me. Combine that with time in nature. I really find it's grounding, and it really helps reset me. So the more of that, I can only go so long without a walk in the park, or a hike or something like that. And it just resets the slate. So, and that's simple. We can all do that. What else do I have on my list? Or I made a little list.
The book, right? Like reading a few pages of something that keeps you connected to the message and the place that you want to be.
Yes. And in line with that would be finding your tribe. So in other words, being very conscious and clear about who you spend your time with, and making those decisions, and having the courage to say no when and if it's pushing your limit and it's not adding value to your life. You just have to learn how to say no, basically. And create an environment of people around you in your life, whether that's in close proximity physically and or abroad, but people that you're connecting with and communicating with, where you can grow and learn together, for sure. Yeah. That's a big one. What else? The reading. Those are the main nuggets. Those are my main nuggets. I feel like that can really help so many people.
Yeah, and I know this is a conversation that you have often in your office. You and I have actually a very similar, have had, as everyone knows, I'm not in practice, have had a very similar vibe in practice. So there's this wonderful thing that happens even when you get adjusted. Both of us are tonal chiropractors, which is a full spectrum way of working holistically with people to help reconnect them. I mean, your nervous system is literally the lifeline to how you live your life. And having somebody physically, genuinely and lovingly work with you and your nervous system is crazy effective. We can't always think ourselves to a place where we want to be. So this idea of body work is beautiful. Energy work, Reiki, massage therapy, not just the kinds where they stick their elbows in you, but the kind that is loving and authentic and nurturing and intuitive. It isn't so much it's not even so much what modality you're using. It has a lot to do with the person you're working with.
Absolutely.
I love getting adjusted by you. It is so specific. It is so gentle. I can feel your intention when you work with somebody. That's why your office is full. And I say that because if you have people around you, even from a healthcare perspective, and I think of this as a life perspective, that isn't the kind of experiencing you're having with the people that you go to for healthcare and so on. I wasn't intending to go here, but it really is something worth noting. It is incredible how helpful it'd be. So make the choice for yourself. Shift, change, ask us. You know, you can come on here all the time and ask me for referrals, not just for chiropractors, but for all sorts of things. It's my opinion. You don't have to go there. You know, I know Stacey, I believe you're inside of this group. And so I will get you to, you know, post your information about your office, because sometimes we can't think ourselves to that. Like when we have all of these rocks that we're carrying and we need to put them down, sometimes we don't even know that we're carrying them. And so when someone comes along and they literally like pull on a string lovingly, it unravels in all the best ways the thing that we were so hoping for. And I know that you also experience this when someone is lying on your table and you're adjusting them. I can literally feel when they start putting down the rocks, putting down the weight, not just inhaling, but exhaling, because energetically there is such a difference between the two. You see people all, and then there's nothing.
Absolutely.
Right?
You know, it's interesting, Laura, I didn't even think in the moment to mention chiropractic.
I know.
Because for me, it's just a way of living. I mean, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess for some people that still isn't in their wheelhouse, you know, or it's not part of their bucket of self-care. You know, what can I say? All the things you said, I fully support. And I think there's such tremendous benefit to having a loving healthcare professional whose focus is to help improve your resiliency to the stress in your life. I mean, really, that's what we're doing. We're trying to assist people in having more ability to manage all that's going on by accessing and influencing the nervous system. It's pretty profound. So
it is. It isn't. So Stacey, I want to be mindful of time. I try and keep it in around 30 minutes, and I know you have a few more things to do. I think you have to go to yoga, actually. Is this true?
I'm going this afternoon.
Oh, see, there you go. Thank you, Stacey. I love that you joined me here. I wish that we could be having a glass of, you know, let's just say it, rosé or something together, walking through the park, going to yoga, all the things that we love to do, and laugh, so much laughter. I invite everyone to find something that brings them laughter today. That's our challenge to you.
Love it. Thank you so much for having me.
It is so my pleasure. Thanks, everybody, and have a fantastic day. Bye, Stacey.
Bye.